Welcome back to the tentatively titled Drum Q&A, Episode 1, Where to Start When You Start Drumming. There are at least 3 main schools of thought when it comes to where to start. The first would be technique, the second, rudiments, and the third, learn songs. So let's start with technique. This is the place I would recommend people to start. Realistically, this is where I would have wanted to have started just because it builds a great foundation to just keep building on. When you have poor technique, you're not going to get very far, but you'll notice and you'll correct those things. So like if you hold your sticks too tightly, you're going to notice your endurance going way down. You're going to notice you just don't have that musicality that comes with having a loose grip and using proper wrist or finger motion when you're actually playing. Same with feet, when you're using your full leg. Something I've come into contact a lot with. I used only full leg, so my endurance, it was pretty beastly, but whenever it came to fast songs, I couldn't hold out for very long, and my speed it wasn't ever really there. It's still something I'm working on, but because I didn't have the proper technique to increase past 150 with full leg, it's caused a lot of issues because I've missed development where if I would have started early with the proper technique, I could have been more proficient in both areas of that. So the first place I would start for any drummer starting out is proper hand technique. It's really basic. It's actually pretty easy to get down, especially if you're just starting out. If you do what I did where you just, play and learn and then have to correct, it's a little awkward at first. It's nothing I wasn't able to overcome. I mean, maybe it took 3 days to maybe a week to finally get the technique down. But learning that really helped me become a lot smoother in my playing. I just felt like my drumsticks were more of an extension of my body as opposed to something I had to hold and swing and manipulate. It just felt very natural, and it felt like I was able to express myself musically way more proficiently. So I learned it from a video. Bruce Becker on Drumming did a video about proper hand technique, and he goes over a bunch of different ways, and you'll see it's not just necessarily universally one correct way to do it, but there are a few ways to get to the same real spot, and you'll find out what works for you, which really this is all about. Find out what works for you regardless, but finding a proper hand technique and just getting your technique proper at first, you save yourself some growing pains down the road. It makes things a lot easier when you're learning, if you're learning the right way. But, if you just want to go ahead and play, do it. I did the same thing, and if you need to adjust because it's holding you back, you will, if you're passionate about it. But if I could recommend it, I would. And if I could go back to when I started drumming, I would absolutely go back, take the first 2-3 weeks, and just learn proper technique. That's actually what I did when I started adjusting my bass pedal technique, because I was hard stuck at 150 BPM with full leg motion. I could not get past it to save my life. It was just horrible. And I mean, I've been doing it for at least 4 or 5 years, and I never really had a proper regimen, which if I would have, I could have gotten past 150. It's not like you can't go faster than that with full leg motion, but there's ways to go so much faster, so much easier than doing full leg motion. And it has its purposes. I mean, really the music I was playing only called for full leg, so I never had that need to go for ankle technique or swivel. But now that I joined another band where I'm actually being required to play faster and faster parts, and it's only a matter of time where I'm going to need to play those faster parts, and also I just want to be able to, because when I can't play something, I feel like I'm not able to express myself fully. So I don't ever want to feel like that. I want to be able to get behind the kit anytime and play whatever I want, whatever comes to my mind. And that really comes down to, where is my technique? Am I doing it properly? Have I put in the work, the practice? And, of course you need both those things, but having a proper technique can really help you save a lot of time and just put you on the right path. So learning ankle technique for instance, that was really big, and I need to get better at it. I've been a little lackluster of late, slacking in my practice, but I noticed, a couple months of that, and my bass pedal it's gone exponentially more quick, more control, and I took it, and because I knew nothing about it, it took me like 3 weeks to a month to even get close to like halfway through it, to like proper technique. And I'm not even there yet, but I know when I'm getting there, it just makes everything so much smoother. Like when you make that muscle mind connection, you start to really make vast improvements because you're not thinking about it as much. But it's important to pause, take those moments to actually learn, and just slow things the fuck down. It's so hard sometimes, but just painstakingly slow will get you further than fast as shit. Does not work that way. Just doesn't. Your body and your mind need to make a connection, and the easiest, quickest way to do that is to slow things down and just let your mind have some time with your body to just think about what's happening. I mean, break it down so painstakingly slow that, it's boring, but like just get into it and let that connection start happening, because once you can start to think and do simultaneously instead of this delay, this lag, your playing is going to go it's going to get incredibly smoother. You're going to get faster. You're going to get more power. I mean, because it really comes from control. So when you make that control and you start to bring those two things together, oh, dude, it's crazy how much faster, how much more control, how much smoother you get. So yes, to summarize this chapter, I would say absolutely take some time to learn proper technique. There's a million videos out there. I'll put one that really helped me, and actually I'll put a couple for bass pedal and for hands. And take some time if you're starting out. Just look at them. Just analyze it. And if you have the drive, if you think for any moment that you might want to be serious about being a drummer, or even just if you take things that you want to do seriously, start here. Just start here. It's one of the shortest chapters you're ever going to have to go into because it's just technique. The only thing is you just start it, you learn it, and then you just improve upon it. And it's going to be in every single thing you do afterwards. But if you start early and you learn the proper stuff, it'll make your life a hell of a lot easier. Number 2, rudiments. I have a love-hate with rudiments. I think, in a way, it almost kind of goes back to the old, do you need to know music theory argument? No, you don't have to know music theory. Like, I guess that's also part of another place you could start when you drum. Should you learn music theory or not? You don't have to, I think it's important to just try to like look at things and just see if it's something you'd be interested in, because maybe you have an idea of what it is and it's completely different and maybe you actually really like it. So like, try it, before you just, dish it. But, I learned music theory through playing piano before drums. And so I learned notation, and I didn't even really know subdivisions or anything like that. The first thing I really learned in piano was like how to read sheet music. And so drumming sheet music's the same thing, just different values for where it's on the bar, on whatever, on where it's on the staff. That was actually really nice to know. I didn't use it a lot, but like I took a couple times where I just wrote out a drum piece and played it, looked up a couple pieces online and played it. Here's what I'll say about that. A lot of people do use music theory. And so if you don't know how to read it and somebody transcribes something and you don't know how to read it, that kind of sucks, because a lot of people give lessons and information through music theory. So having a baseline idea of how to read sheet music at the very least is really nice. Like even if you just know where the notes are, you'll start to understand subdivisions and all that, but even just knowing where the notes are can help you tremendously. After that, you're going to want to learn subdivisions, because that's kind of how you get value out of where the notes are on the staff. And I'll just say this, all these things can be a little bit tedious, but honestly, it's the way a lot of people learn, and it's realistically a lot of the way people teach. So if you have time and you have an interest or even just a curiosity, just try to learn it by going online, maybe looking it up, or even if you go on like Drummio or really any kind of drum instructor site, they're gonna have sheet music. And what cool thing is you'll just see them playing it and you'll see what it looks like on a drum sheet music. That's kind of how I even did it anyway. Like I knew how to read piano music, but even though it's scribed in a certain way, it still was foreign to really know drum music because I didn't really know subdivisions that well. So when I watched enough drum videos of seeing how it looked and how it was played, I just started to pick up on it, and you will too. Like the more you research, the more you're just going to pick up on stuff without even realizing it. Taking a deep dive into it can help you expedite the process and, just improve your information, your knowledge. But I'll just say this about music theory to start before I get into rudiments. I benefited tremendously from knowing a little bit of music theory because when I had to audition for one of the bands I'm in currently, that shit was hard. And they gave me like a week, 5-day deadline to learn a whole song. And I was out of practice. I was playing in like indie rock bands and like I had to go to a metal band. And this was not your just straightforward metalcore. I couldn't just listen to it and know what was happening. That was the biggest, challenge for me. Like I heard the song and it wasn't on YouTube. It wasn't like there was nobody played it before me. It was MIDI drums, and I had to figure out what the fuck they were playing, and I had to figure it out fast so I could recreate my, the song, add my own stuff, and I had to do it in a certain time frame. What I did is I broke those sections I didn't understand what were happening down, slowed them down, 50% speed, 75% speed, and I just notated, just like I would just go sound source by sound source, instrument by instrument. So there was this like 8/8 part, but it was in this like weird triplets with a lot of rest in between, a lot of different instruments being played. So all I did was I listened for bass drum, and I started on my 1, 2, 3, 4. I know I heard a triplet, da da da, rest, da 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 da. I started counting just 8 notes. So I was like, there's 3 8 notes, 2 rest, 3 8 notes, 2 rest. Did that for bass drum. How many snares? There's 3 snares with the 3 bass drums, and then a pause, or 3 rest, then 1 snare, and cymbals, same thing. I just did that. Okay, it was not the most efficient way to write sheet music out. It's because I hadn't really done it before, but it was a way that I could take a section that I did not know what was happening and put it on paper. So then when I had the completed product, which I'll grab a shot of that. When I had that completed product, I was able to just look at it and say, this is what's happening. And when I had that ability, I was able to break it down and start to play it section by section and then put the whole thing together. When you just try to learn it without like putting it on paper, for me, that would have been hard as shit. And it would have made it way more difficult in the end to actually get a better product or a final valuable product that I wanted to put out there. So even just having a baseline understanding of music theory, it already paid off for me young in my career. So I would recommend it. Just learn it because there's going to be times where you need to know what's happening. And it's such a great way to break down challenging sections and then to look at them and then play them. It's a resource you're giving yourself by writing it down. Your mental capacity to understand it has already improved. Your memorization, which we're talking about taking an audition here, has already improved because I've written it down. I think it's like, whatever, if you listen to something, you have a low percent chance to remember it. If you say it out loud, you have a better chance. If you write it down, you have a tremendously better chance to actually memorize that information. So if you do that just in general, without even using it as a reference, you've already helped memorize it, which is a huge part of learning music anyway. It's memorizing, so it's extremely valuable. Still, it's not something I'm even going to say you have to do or that I would even recommend getting super into when you first start drumming. Honestly, I would not say to go like full blown into music theory unless you like it. if you like it, I absolutely would advise anybody to get into something that they're into. So, if you like music theory, get into it, learn it. It'll help you 100%. If you don't like it, I would just say, look, if you have never learned it or tried it, try it. And let's not be babies here. Like, try a bite before you say no. And then if you really don't think there's going to be any value, okay, you can just shelf it. Because I did the same thing. I shelved it. I looked at it. I shelved it. But over time, by looking at videos, I started to learn more and more. I just started to internalize things. Like, I saw what a 16-note subdivision looked like because I saw someone play it while the transcription was underneath it. You'll learn it that way too. So, at the end of the day, you'll probably learn it along the way. It's good to just try to understand it at first. And then if you think that it's something that could help you, as it helped me, and I will say it will help you, spend some time and learn it. So, which brings me to rudiments. I just have a love-hate for them because even though it's really cool, and like I said, it's sort of like music theory, you know, it's one of those things people are going to argue. Does it help you? Does it hurt you? Does it limit your creativity? In my opinion, no, it doesn't. Just like music theory, it's just the art, the language. It's really just, it's the language of what's happening. You don't have to know rudiments to know how to play a paradiddle. You know, some people just think, you know, right, left, right, left, right, left is a cool beat before they learn what a paradiddle is. You know, I did the same thing. I just, like, that's a kind of swinging beat. Fuck with that, you know? Cool, that's a rudiment. So, I think there are some really positive aspects of learning rudiments. Because when you're stuck in a rut creatively, when you're stuck in a rut, it can help to see something that you've never played or heard before, and you'll see it like how they displace an accent on a certain rudiment that you've always played. Like on a 6-stroke roll, they'll just move the standard accent on it 1 or 2 notes over, and then you're like, that sounds way different. And you might, you know, search for that rudiment your whole career, not your whole career, but you might search for that rudiment, you know, and you might not hear it until you hear it later down a song or just a random practice. But it can be really useful to understand what rudiment you're playing, and you can actually get really creative by just taking rudiments, displacing accents, displacing them on a bar, you know, wherever you put them within your song. And this isn't something you need to necessarily know music theory for. It helps you because you can put things on paper, and then once you have it on paper, you can easily change it. But, you know, if you play a 6-stroke roll, it doesn't even matter if you don't know it. A lot of people, a lot of their inclination is going to be, what if I move it, you know, over here, over here, over here? So you'll learn it that way. But I'll just say this about rudiments. It's a good thing to know because when I've been stuck in a rut creatively, I'll learn a new subdivision, or not subdivision, I'll learn a new rudiment, you know? I learned, what was it? I forget the names. See, I just don't memorize them. Which honestly is cool because where I think you can be, like this is where the argument comes in where it's like it limits you. You know, then you start to think of things only in rudiments and you like lose your creative juice. It's bullshit, but I mean, you can get too bogged down in like, okay, I'm going to put a triplet and then a back to back right here, and you know, like it's a cool way to write sections, but sometimes you can get a little too mechanical. So there's a caveat, just like with anything, you know. I would say try to avoid just like only thinking in rudiments because, you know, I wouldn't even say that. I mean, if you fucking thrive thinking about rudiments the whole song, that's fine, that's cool. Personally, I just don't, and for me, music's just a big feel thing. So I just don't ever really think about music and think about like where like when I'm just feeling the song and when I'm writing. So I don't really just say, let me try this rudiment here. That's not how I operate. Some people do, and I will say where rudiments come in most handy for me is when I'm trying to create a fill or a section that I want it to be more interesting. I will write it down, or I'll try inserting rudiments that I like, and I'll try displacement, moving accents, moving where I'm starting the rudiment. I'll do that, and that actually helps me create things intellectually, not just off musical intuition. Where I can be lost a lot, or where I can get really stagnant, is going off too much musical intuition. Sometimes you get really bogged down and you listen to the same kind of music, or you just go to the same kind of stuff when you're playing intuitively. So it's nice to break up things by intellectually increasing your vocabulary by learning rudiments. Rudiments can be absolutely valuable. I need to get better at it. Just straight up, I don't use them enough. I really could benefit from when I'm composing, trying to use more rudiments to create things instead of just like thinking about a cooler new section. Like sometimes it's good to put pen to paper or to think in terms, mechanically, intellectually to create something, because at the end of the day, I can call it, I feel the song, I just go off musical intuition, and somebody can say, well, no, you just did a 6-stroke roll and then you just did a double stroke, 16th note roll after that. Like, it sounds cool, but like there's a rudiment for all of it. It all can be transcribed. So a healthy balance, of course, but do what's right for you. That's gonna be a cop-out for most of this episode. Do what's right for you, because that's the truth. There's no right way to do it for really anybody other than yourself. Only you can get yourself to play. Only you can get yourself to practice. So you're going to know what works best for you pretty early on. But knowing how to do both, it does not hurt you. I would say always take the balanced approach. Try not to just think in form of rudiments. Try to let your musical intuition come out, because sometimes when you do get bogged down in rudiments, you lose the chance to let your body just come up with something. Let your mind-body connection create something that you would not have maybe thought intellectually by yourself. Just play with both. Don't let your body just do all the work. Think intellectually, like maybe I can put a paradiddle right here and accent the third note of it. Just try stuff, and try to find a balance. The third section, the third topic, place to start. Learn songs. Hell yeah. That's what I'm all about. I learned so much by just learning songs. I started out learning Dream Theater, and as you can imagine, if you know anything about the band, that shit's crazy. And I learned odd time signatures, I learned how to play double bass pedal, I learned, fucking accents, displacement. I learned stuff just real quick by learning those songs. And I think the most important part of all of that was just having fun doing it, That for me was the best place and the best thing I could have ever done. It's just do what I love doing, which is learning songs. And where learning songs will really benefit you is it'll help increase your musical intuition. When you put rubber to the road, when you're jamming, when you're composing, and you just play, you will reference back to the thousands of songs you listened to, but more importantly, in a smaller group, the songs that you've learned, note by note, especially, you will learn those things and you will use those things. This is why I will recommend to anybody that likes to learn songs. It's really fun to learn a section. It's really fun to learn a cool riff. I challenge you, learn an entire song, because when you're starting out, you learn the things you want to learn. You learn the things that get you into music, the cool, flashy stuff especially, or the cool melodies. If you like a song, if you like a section of a song, try learning the whole song, because there's stuff they're doing in between those really cool sections that's just as important in building the dynamic and the overall structure of the song. One of the places I struggled with so much when I started drumming in bands is I just didn't know what to fucking do, because a lot of the times I was just learning sections, And when I started playing covers and I started to learn songs note by note, I started to understand how songs flowed a lot better. By learning an entire song, you're going to improve your musicality, you're going to improve your artistry. It just benefits you tremendously to take a song and learn the whole thing. Do it. I promise you will not be disappointed, and it'll challenge you, because those sections that you don't think are as cool, sometimes they're even harder than the flashy sections. Like for me, sometimes just holding down a beat and not going fucking ham sandwich or doing something different every 2 bars that's hard for me. Like I'm a progressive post-hardcore drummer. Like that's where I thrive. If you know anything about the genre, like you ain't staying in one place for too long. And so like when I have to play like dance beats for 4 minutes, I add twists. But you'll find it challenging if you're attracted to those flashy licks or cool melodies. You'll find it challenging to do just basic things. Round yourself out just like anything. Find that balance. An important way to do that, and an easy way to do that, just learn an entire song that you love. If you only like a certain part of the song, well, is there a song you like that maybe you don't even care about the drums so much? Like I grew up on Fall Out Boy, and drums are pretty good in Fall Out Boy, but there are certain songs where they're not that crazy. But I just love the song, and so like I'll play along to that song. I'll improv to it at least, and you'll learn a lot that way. That was how I learned. I played songs, and that's what I love to do. And that's what I recommend to people that love songs, and that's how they want to learn. If you love songs and you want to play along to them, do that. Just be wary of only playing parts that you want to play. Really strive to play entire songs. If that's hard to do to certain songs because you only like certain sections, play a song that isn't necessarily your drum wet dream and just play it because you love the song. You will improve tremendously that way. And it's a good way to take advantage of that, branch of learning that you learn best from. If you learn best from playing songs, I highly recommend learning entire songs and doing that if that's what you love to do. And so on the teaser of last episode, I put the secret to learning where to start when you start drumming is Rock Band. I was not bullshitting you. I actually learned how to play drums through Rock Band. Insert caveat. I got really good at Rock Band. I mean, I was fucking expert on any song. I was 100% in a lot of songs. I was 99, 98. A lot of the really difficult songs. I was really good at it. Like, pretty damn proficient. And then I got a real drum set. And, wow, that was different. I was not that great, honestly. As good as I was at Rock Band, it's different playing a real drum set. Imagine that. I thought the transition would be easier. It's really not, but here is what I liked about Rock Band, and here's why I will recommend an avenue to you. Playing Rock Band will not get you better at playing different sound sources. You're playing plastic pads and you're playing an electronic drum pedal. If you're going to play an acoustic kit, it will not benefit you mechanically. Not really. Because the rebounds of the different drums and cymbals are going to be way different than pads. A bass beater has a rebound and it has way more technical difficulties than just pressing down on a pedal. So you're going to struggle if you just only play Rock Band. But what Rock Band will give you is a visual representation of what's happening on a drum chart. Different than drum notation that you learn in music theory on a staff. It's kind of on a staff, but it's not because it's a game. So with its own, system. But Rock Band, if you have the game and you can access the game, I recommend doing that. Get a drum set, get the game if you have the consoles for Rock Band 2. That's the game I would recommend. Get the console for Rock Band 2, and you can get a drum set in the game. I think you could probably get the game and drum set for under $100, which is a bit of an investment, but if you get that, it will help you understand drumming. And it'll give you a tool that I still use that today. I practiced last week, and there was a section, and while I was playing it, I was literally visualizing a drum track on Rock Band. I was thinking about the section, and I started playing and visualizing while I was playing the Rock Band notation. Just because I loved doing it, I got used to it, and it's another tool you can use to break down sections, especially while you're playing. It's something I actually lock in with sometimes. When I'm playing and I'm trying to groove, sometimes I'll just literally picture, it's kind of fucking crazy. I will literally just picture the drum beats coming at me like the game, and like I'm the line where you hit the drum notes. If you know Rock Band, you'll probably find that funny, but I will literally like layer in my mind over my eyes the notation coming at me while I'm playing sections. Now, when it's like really complicated, I don't do that so much, but when I'm like locking in, it helps me to like see or imagine like the bars and the notes coming at me, and like I'm that rock that's like hitting every single one. It's kind of weird, but I think if you've done it and maybe you've experienced this, you totally know what I talk about if you've experienced it. But it's this thing, like when it comes to drumming and grooving especially, you'll find you'll pull out to almost all your senses to create a good groove. Like literally maybe minus smell. You might even use smell, but like all the other senses, like visually, you'll like might, imagine yourself flowing like the ocean, like when you're feeling, physically, you'll like feel your body moving in time, what you see, or I said what you see, but like, what you hear obviously is a huge part of it because you're creating sound. So, of course that's important, but it's a tool that I still use, and regardless, why I think learning Rock Band is actually really important is you will look at drums, a drum notation, and you'll see what's happening while the drums are being played. You can do that with transcriptions, but Rock Band for me was way easier to read. It just is, honestly, and if you played it, you understand what I'm talking about, but I know not everybody has access to all those things, a drum set, the money to buy a game or a console. You can literally go to fucking YouTube and you can look up Rock Band, look up a song you like and look up Rock Band and then, drums and then enter. You might want to look up a list of songs on Rock Band. Maybe you like one of those songs, then do that. And then you can see what's happening on a notation. You can even see people play it too if they have a camera on themselves, which, you can do that with a drum cover too. But honestly, if you can play Rock Band, I recommend it. I still use that today. That was like that was like 9 years ago when I was playing Rock Band seriously, maybe even 10. I used it last week. It's a tool, and if you have easy access to it, do not make an excuse, do it. I seriously recommend it, and it's fun. It's a fun game, If you like that, great. If not, if you don't have access to those things, you can look up online Rock Band playthroughs, like on drums on certain songs you like, and you'll see the bass hits coming in, you'll see where the snare lands, you'll see the cymbals, how they come in, and even if you just do it once or twice, make a connection. Use that tool because it does help, just like learning notation helps. Rock Band, I would not be surprised if you took a poll how many musicians have played that game, how much it's helped them. Maybe not guitar. I think that was a pretty big disconnect, but for drummers, I know there's a lot of drummers that got their start on Rock Band and are fucking kick-ass because of it. So it'll really deepen your understanding of drums in a unique way. So if you have access, do it. If you don't, look it up. And I don't think you'll be steered wrong there. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at the value you can get out of Rock Band. There's at least a solid case to be made for all three of these things, plus whatever number of other ways you could start drumming. But the easy answer, but the truthful one, is you should be doing all of them. A balanced approach towards drumming is going to be your best bet at rounding yourself and giving yourself the best opportunity to grow in as many different directions. And then from there, you can see what you like to do and what you don't. If there's a reason you got into drumming, whether it be you love music, so you like to play covers, or you love the rudiments or the techniques or whatever got you into it, at the end of the day, that's really what you should be focusing on, because the more you load yourself up with things you don't want to do, the less you're likely to play. So always keep it fun, always keep yourself motivated by doing things that you want to do, but also challenge yourself to do things that you don't, because you'll make a lot of growth in those directions that you're a little scared of or aren't as interesting or fun. You should balance your approach, but always do what you love to do, because I mean, that's what this is about anyway. All right, so that's it. That was episode 1, where to start when you start drumming. I don't even know how drawn out that's gonna be, how this is gonna look, but yeah, that's episode 1. It's pretty fun. I enjoyed just talking about stuff that I've experienced and, you know, where I've gone wrong and where I've gone right and what I recommend, you know. I thought that was really fun. That was just a question I took off the internet. So episode 2, I'm gonna leave it up in the air. If somebody asks me a question, you know, and I find that I'm actually able to give them some value from an answer, I'm gonna answer it. Like, I don't care what the question is. You know, if it's somewhat music related, career, life, whatever, if it's related in the realm of music, I will answer it if I think I can actually give that person value. So shoot me a question on any platform, and if I think I can help, I will absolutely answer your question. And if not, if I don't get any responses from this one, I'm just going to take another question next week and we'll see what that one's going to be. But I have no plans so far for the next one. We will see. Everybody, if you see this video and you enjoyed it and you have any question, even if you just want to see me shoot the shit on something that you already know the answer to, you know, land a comment anywhere and I will get back to you. If I think I can add you value, I will not bullshit you. If I don't know, I will start the next video by saying, I don't have a fucking clue, but here's what I found out. I will research if I don't know, and if I don't think I can add you value, I will let you know. But perspective, see what I can offer, and yeah, if I can help, I absolutely will. So shoot me questions. If not, I'll find a question next week to talk about. And yeah, I'll see y'all next week for episode 2. I look forward to the questions and the comments, and I'll see y'all next week. So take the time, do it right. We can do it, baby. Do it tonight. I'm not putting that in the video. That was corny as shit. But maybe an outtake.